Hello everyone and welcome back to this channel. Today we are going to talk with Professor Ervin Laszlo about his new book, My Journey, A Life in Quest of the Purpose of Life. So, Ervin, what inspired you to write this autobiography?
First of all, I don't like to talk about myself, so I had no intention of writing an autobiography. But what happened then was that as I was talking about these things that happened to me, these people asked, why did that happen? Why did it happen one after another? Surprising things. How come? How come you're doing this? You used to be a musician, and you used to be a professor of philosophy. Why are you now an activist? So the questions were asked of this guy. So I thought finally I should answer. So I started writing, and then it wrote itself. It continued going, it continued flowing. It was fun also, trying to reminisce, trying to find what happened to me in the past, but it still has an effect on me. So it was fun doing it, and then I thought it's worth sharing because it's a very curious form of life, very curious sequence of events, and maybe it's of interest to other people too. That's why I wrote it down, and then it got published, and there is the book now.
Yes, so the book is published by Select Books, and I really like the cover. This is a lovely picture of you. And if somebody reads this book, it has three main chapters about your journey. So the first chapter is my musician incarnation, the second one is my academic reincarnation, and then my activist reincarnation. So let's talk about these. Let's talk about your musician incarnation. I know that you were a child prodigy. You played the piano at a very young age. So what was little Ervin like? Tell me about little Ervin.
Well, I thought that's me, a concert pianist. Nobody in my family, when I was a child, would have doubted that. That's what I was born for, born into, so to speak. That is not just a reincarnation, that's the destiny. That's what I am. But then it turned out that it's not all that I am because I wanted to do other things as well. I asked questions that I couldn't answer strictly as a pianist. I had to go look into the things and then write away this thing. But that's no longer being a musician, that's being a philosopher or being a scientist or being a prophet or whatever. But certainly it's more than normally a musician would handle. So I was born a musician, but then I changed when I was in my late teens and early 20s. I changed into another life. And then I kept changing afterwards still more.
When you played the piano, what kind of feelings did you have? Can you recall them?
Well, playing music, particularly when playing for a public, it's often thought, and sometimes it's true, that it's only to be applauded. For me, no. I mean, I never sought applause. I sought the experience. The experience is fantastic. There are two ways that you can get the true musical experience. Either but you're completely by yourself. Nobody hears it, nobody is within sight or sound, and you play for yourself and you can enter into the music. Or you sit up on a stage and a lot of people around you and they resonate. They work with you, they co-feel the music and what you're feeling. And that amplifies that sensation. So that sensation is a formidable one. The sensation of playing music is a sensation of fullness, of wholeness, of fulfillment. I'm talking about great music, by great composers, which is such that every note is in its place at the right time. You can't change one thing without destroying the coherence of the whole. That's coherence, that's perfection. And experience that is to experience fullness. Love gives you such an experience. Music, and I think other forms of art, probably dance also. I'm not a dancer myself. And poetry and literature can give you this sense also. Performing music is a lifetime experience. You seek it all the time. You seek something which you get in music, Ervin's music, and that is indescribable. It is a fulfillment. That is something that I kept seeking all through my life. You get hooked on it. You just keep wanting it over and over again. Sometimes through music and exploring other ways that you can get this. And that's what's common in those various sequences in my life. We have one common thread. And that's what I call in this book the seeking the meaning of life, seeking the fulfillment of finding, yes, that's why I am here. That's me, and that's the world around me. Seeking that, then you have to obviously go into philosophy, go into science, go into the great traditions of culture. But I sought that, and that gave me the sense of reaching toward fulfillment, seeking it, wanting it. That's the story then I went on from being a musician, went on to being an academician, an academic philosopher, and then went on to being an activist, trying to change the world, because we think this world needs to be changed.
In the book, you mentioned that you played at one of the big concert halls, and then you realized that you were not paying attention to the music anymore, and you started to think about other things. Was that the point when you realized you should look for other things and, quote unquote, just being a fantastic concert pianist, that you thought that you have other parts of yourself that you would like to explore further?
Well, that was a crisis point. There was one particular insight. It is a sudden phenomenon, sudden aha experience. Now we have to decide. It so happened, prior to this critical event, I received an invitation from the chairman of the philosophy department at Yale University, who read my first book, and he thought I should come and speak about it, give a seminar on that subject. This was unexpected, because as a professional concert pianist, I had no intention of teaching in a university. I wrote this first book because I had those thoughts, I had those ideas that I wanted to communicate, and somebody wanted to publish it for me, and that was a surprise, and I let it happen. But then, at this moment, at the concert, I knew that I had to choose. I went into the concert thinking that, sure enough, I am a concert pianist. I'm not going to leave that. I continued to seek fulfillment, seek understanding, seek love and coherence, but that's not my profession. So I'm going to stay a concert pianist. But when that happened to me, what happened to me was a sudden realization that I'm playing a piece of music where the theme recurs. So there it is in the beginning, and there it comes back at the end. And I was so immersed in my thoughts, even though I was sitting on the stage, that I forgot where I was, and even forgot what I'm playing, actually. I knew what I'm playing, but I didn't know whether I played the theme now at the beginning or at the end. So I either repeat the whole thing, which in this case is a scandal, or leave out the entire part, which is a movement, and there's also a scandal. So I had to jump, leap. I leapt. Nobody said anything. Apparently, I guessed right. I just went on to play, and then I got off the stage that evening, and I said, that doesn't go here. Either think this, think about all these things, and devote your life to this, or you be a concert pianist, and then you just sing, do music. Being a musician is a full-time vocation. It's more than a profession, it's a vocation. So I decided it doesn't go like this. I can't liberate myself from exploring ideas, from wanting to know more. So let me do that. Let me try. So I accepted the invitation to Yale, and that led to invitations to become an associate professor elsewhere, then a full professor. It went on to an academic career. And I didn't regret it, but I had to leave flourishing career in music to become a professor of philosophy. That was a critical point. I did it, and that's what led to my next period in my life.
So you were at all these various universities and you were teaching and you were also writing. Is that correct?
Yes, I was then doing full-time, following this vocation, this new evocation, seeking meaning by reading philosophers, by discussing with teachers and students of philosophy and of science, because increasingly I came across the insight that the answers have to be based on what we know about the world, and that means going to science. I had the good fortune already at Yale University to meet some outstanding thinkers who were both philosophers and scientists. And in the tradition of the great English philosopher who was teaching at Harvard at the end of his life, Alfred North Whitehead. But I had many people around me who were following him, and he was basing his theory on relativity theories, but seeking the understanding of the world based on this new concept of the world developed by Einstein. So that launched me on this path of seeking meaning through the understanding that you get from science. Not technical science. I was not interested in engaging in science. I was interested in finding what does it mean? When you have a finding, what does it mean? What does it mean about who you are, what the world is like, and what your role is in this world? That was my vocation, which I then followed in the second period, second phase of my life, a reincarnation as an academic philosopher.
Yes, that's your current reincarnation. Is that correct?
That led further. So my current one is to use the academic phase as a base, as a conceptual basis. But when I come to look around and see this world is open to change, and this world needs to change, needs to become more sustainable, more humane, more equitable. So when you come to these conclusions, then you ask yourself, how can I find the way forward? It's not just knowledge. Knowledge is important. Understanding is key. But what do you do with it? How can you use it to find your way forward? And that was the phase which I call the third reincarnation, the one of the activist phase, trying to do things, not just talk about things, but do it and help other people do it as well.
So there's also a part in the book which is called Reflections. So the name of the chapter is Where Am I Today? So Ervin, where are you today? What are you working on these days?
That chapter has to be rewritten all the time. Where I am is not exactly where I was at the time when I wrote the book, but it's a continuation of that. I think I have made some contribution. It remains to be seen how serious it is, about an understanding that can lead us forward at a time of crisis and change, transformation. Where I am now is trying to getting to some conclusions about the nature of that larger reality, the nature of the universe based on modern cosmology, the nature of life based on modern biology, and the nature of the human being based on culture, anthropology, and psychology. These are the questions I have asked, I'm still asking, but I am adding one element to them. If I have come to some conclusions about this, my duty is to share it as to help so that people can reach their own conclusions and then start acting, behaving in light of their conclusions. Because it doesn't go forward the way we have it now. We can't simply continue with this unstable, unsustainable world. We'll have more and more crises. We had crises in succession about the heating up of the atmosphere, which we now experience. Before that, the crisis of health. Then the crisis of war, which is still with us. The crisis of refugees. The crisis of inequality. All these are ways that need to be mended. We need to create a a more stable world. That's the duty that I feel I have, at least to share my insights, and then people can take it or leave it. I'm not aspiring to be a dictator, not aspiring to tell people what to do. I'm saying, look, this is what I thought. Try to think along these lines. Consider it. And if you feel that it's useful, it's fruitful for developing your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own way, then do it. Then I fulfill my purpose. Where I am today is to be an advisor. In the old Platonic sense, he says, he needs philosophers advising kings. Not formally today, the people don't want philosophers to advise formally, but people who have some elements of wisdom in their life, in their thinking, are needed. And I'm trying to be among those people, bring such people together, and together try to inject a higher level of wisdom, the way we think and the way we act.
You are that person because, for example, in this book and the other books that you have written, a lot of your friends and colleagues have written very nice introductions, like Greg Braden or Stanislav Grof or Jude Curriban. There's a lot of reflections about you in this book, like Gary Zukav, Neil Donald Walsh, Masami Sayonji, Jean Houston, and so on and so on. So you can read other people's thoughts in the book as well as yours, and I think it makes a nice, coherent piece. So this is a very good summary, not just your journey, but what's to come. At least that's how I feel it. There is a chapter called A View from the Mountaintop, basically the one that you're closing the book with.
I still try to scale that mountain and perhaps reach higher and higher peaks. That's my ambition. And when people join me in that, I'm happy. I didn't ask people to write about me, even about my journey. I'm asking them to write their own journey, their own thoughts. And so my journey becomes our journey, based on ideas that we can have some level of confidence that they are true, not just wild ideas that we have to dream of. Vision is important. Vision should also be based on something solid. These people have a solid basis. They are all scientists as well as visionaries. I'm happy that they join me, and I'm happy that you feel that this makes the book more complete, more full.
So just a light question to end this conversation. Have you found the purpose of life?
I'm looking.
Thank you so much, Ervin. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you.